topic of this week is really this concept known as satiety and satiation. That's really the topic. Satiety and satiation, like you have, and there's also a concept like known as hunger, right? And then there's also appetite. There's all these terms, right? So satiety is basically like when you're done eating, like, oh my God, I can't eat another bite, right? So, like after Halloween, not gonna lie, like I don't think I had any like measurable blood ketones that day. I mean, I don't know how many peanut butter cups I had, but I was handing the candy out to the kids, and I got a little bit into it. So, but anyway, so what makes us stop eating? That's essentially satiety. Satiation is like, when do I want to eat my next meal? Does it make sense? Hunger is like a physiological need to eat, and it's the drive following to go seek food after that. That's hunger. Appetite's different than hunger, okay? So let's say like right now that I were to go eat a really nice steak. That's my favorite food group, right? Say I love steak. I say a real nice steak. And then Andy comes along and he's like, Doc, you gotta try this brownie or this cheesecake, okay? Now, do I need that? No, but I'm gonna eat it. This is the way it is, because Andy's that good. The thing is, that's appetite. It's not hunger. You get what I'm saying? There's a difference. So satiety, basically, that's when I stop eating. Like, oh my God, I can't eat every bite. Satiation, when I eat again. Hunger, physiological need to eat. And then appetite's like, you know, it's more hedonic. It's more like I want it. I'm gonna eat it despite my senses. What you have to understand is that there's a lot of stuff going into that process. And a question got asked actually on Instagram earlier this week, and the question was like, well, is it all in your head? And Dr. Jesse Shaw actually said it earlier, like, kind of, yeah, it is. Now, what's in your head could be reflecting real physiology, but it's still here. There are so many factors that affect these concepts: how a food tastes, the variety that you have, whether you're dieting, whether you're not, whether you're restricting, whether you're eating in excess. But we're talking this week about one specific factor, and that's mechanical stimuli that determine whether you're going to eat or not. Okay? So, what do I mean by that? Mechanical stimuli, if you think about it, first thing that things hit is like your gut. And then, of course, it's going to go on your small intestine. So, your stomach, basically, I'm going to take you through all these studies. The first study that we talked about was a really cool study. These subjects, okay, listen to this, like these subjects swallowed a pill. The pill goes down, it's like a gastric pill, goes down into the stomach, and it inflates, okay? So the pill they swallow, it goes down the stomach and inflate. And we showed this study, and you know what happened? They didn't eat as much. And not only did they not eat as much, they lost, like in like 2 weeks' time, they lost like 2 kilograms, like 4.4 pounds of fat. So what's that telling you? Like, again, like Dr. Jesse Shaw said, it's here, it's in your head, a lot of what determines us to eat. Now, that's mechanical stimuli, and that's the topic of today. Also, remember, if you guys watch that, we put a disclaimer, okay? Don't eat balloons. Like, yes. Guys, don't eat balloons. They'll go, oh my God, the most PhD. No, like, don't eat balloons, okay? See your physician if you're interested in that topic. But anyway, so how do we affect this? Like, obviously, I just told you, like, a disclaimer, don't eat a balloon. So what do you do, right? There's a lot of different things you do. Our second infographic of the week, and actually that's going to get posted up here soon. Is it tonight or tomorrow? 7:30. Yeah. Or, okay, 7:30. 7:30 now we're posting an infographic, and that one's basically going to be that, like, there's a concept, and the title of the infographic says, is thirst mistaken for hunger? Or oftentimes is thirst mistaken for hunger? And the answer is, yeah. Because basically this study, they had people go eat breakfast, right? And they drank a couple cups of water, or they didn't drink any water at all. And they ate like 13% less calories when they preloaded with water versus not drinking water at all. Now, a lot of you are like, oh, well, I already knew that. Listen, do you know, you guys train. Like, if you guys are watching Muscle PhD, I'm assuming that you train, right? Here's the thing. Studies show that the majority of the people walk, like literally like 75, 80% of people who walk into a gym are dehydrated. So in reality, most people are not doing that before a meal, not based on the data. So one of the easy things you can do is you can preload, just like drink a couple cups of water, you know, or something low calorie like almond milk, or, you know, a low calorie soda, like Sprite Zero or something like that. But anyway, you drink that before and you will eat up to like 13% less calories. Why? Because the water mechanically stretches the stomach. So that is that was the second infographic that we talked about. And cue me in case I missed one of them. The next thing that we talked about on infographics, and actually we wrote this up, and actually Matthew Grooms made a super cool infographic on this, right? So in this study, like, you know, a lot of you guys live on protein shakes and amino acids, like myself included, and protein bars too, right? But anyway, they did this. It was a cool study. Like, they took a protein shake, right? So I got, like, I don't know, like half of my dishes. Are you guys the same way? I don't know about you, but half my dishes are protein shakers.
Yep.
Shaker bottles,
yep.
like literally. So half of mine are shaker bottles. But anyway, so let's say I'm going to have a protein shake. So they took a shaker bottle, like shook up whey protein, okay? Drunk it. And then they went and ate a meal. It's called ad libitum eating, meaning like, let's say like, say you're in right now you're in our conference room. So say like before you eat a meal, like 30 minutes before you eat a meal, I'll give you a protein shake, okay? Say, okay, now you come here, I got a buffet on the table, you eat whatever you want, okay? The next condition, they took that same protein, put ice in it, put it in a blender, and blended it up. Now, what does a blender add to a protein shake? It adds air, okay? So not calories, it added air. Same calories, but you added air. Shaker bottle, blender. When they ate the protein shake in the blender, when they went to the buffet, they ate 13% less calories. Like, how crazy is that? So literally what it's basically saying is you're manipulating stretch receptors in your stomach, and essentially what that's telling you is that if you were to have like a protein shake, if you were to shake it up in a shaker ball, or you were to blend it in a blender, you could eat like 10, 13% less calories just because of the volume of air that's added to that shake. So I thought that was interesting. And that's the third infographic. So the fourth infographic that's going to be posted tomorrow, or tomorrow is Thursday.
Yep.
God, where's the time go? So anyway, Thursday and then probably Friday is calorie density. Calorie density is probably one of the most important things that you could possibly manipulate when you're talking about controlling satiety, satiation, hunger, appetite, all that stuff. So what is calorie density? Basically, it's the amount of calories per gram of food that you consume, okay? And this is very, very important because there's a very key study that I'm going to talk about that was done. I think it's one of the cool studies that I've ever seen I saw it when I was in grad school. I was floored, okay? Are you ready for this? Like, are you ready? I almost want a drum roll. So what they did was basically, again, I'm going to bring you back to the buffet, okay? So I bring you a buffet, and basically, let's say one buffet is low-calorie dense foods. So I would define a low-calorie dense food like lettuce is very low-calorie dense food. Broccoli is low-calorie dense food. Oatmeal's with water in it's moderate calorie dense food. Dry, like nuts, is a high calorie density food. Lots of calories per gram, right? So to put in perspective, if I have like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, which usually never happens, like I eat a lot more than that. But if I had 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, compared to like a bowl of oatmeal, 150 calories versus 150 calories, you're a much smaller amount of peanut butter, right? So the calorie density is higher. So basically what they do is they said, eat whatever you want. Now, not surprisingly, when they finished eating on these 2 different buffets, the calories consumed was way higher for the high calorie dense food than the low calorie dense food. She's like, okay, well, yeah, no, I know, you know what, I realize that, I get that. But higher calorie dense foods, they selected more and they ate more than the lower calorie dense foods. But check this out. On the graph, the amount of grams of food that they consumed was identical. Do you understand what I'm saying? Calories were different, but the grams of food they ate. So say like they got full with 100 grams of food. at 100 grams of food, I can't remember exactly the amount of grams, but at 100 grams of food, they both stop eating at that ceiling. What that's telling you is that your stomach has a gram counter. Granted, you have calorie counters, but your stomach literally has a gram counter. So when you hit a certain gram threshold, it tells your brain, stop eating. So isn't that sick? Yeah. To carry that study further, they took individuals and basically they wanted, let's say like, by the way, I love the holiday season, so we're in the holiday season right now. But like, let's face it, after the holiday season, you want to cut down a little bit, right? It's just mom's home cooking and everything like that. But the thing is, that what happens is that, so let's say you're like that and you go on a diet. All they did was, this is their only intervention. They said, all right, here's what you're eating. Replace 30% of what you eat with low-calorie dense foods. Like, again, vegetables, whatever. Or if you take oatmeal, add more water to the oatmeal. If you're blending a shake, add more air to the shake. And then they had one group replace 60% of their foods with low-calorie dense foods, and the other group replaced 90% of their food with low-calorie dense foods. Make sense? So maybe a third of your diet low-calorie dense foods, like a third of your plate. 2/3 of your plate low-calorie dense foods. The other group, all of your plate low-calorie dense foods. In a dose-dependent response, they lost fat mass. Doing nothing else but food selection of selecting, eat whatever you want, but low-calorie dense foods from 30, 60, or 1/3, 2/3, all of your plate. Literally a dose response. Like, I'm talking about equivalent to like 4 pounds, 8 pounds, 12 pounds of fat. That's powerful. So let me sum this up for you guys. In summary, and we'll cover this more in later issues, but satiety, that's when you stop eating. Satiation, how long that effect lasts. Hunger, I have a need to eat. Appetite is like, I just finished eating this steak. Andy just brought me a cheesecake, and it's from Andy, so I'm going to eat it. That's appetite. It's nothing to do with hunger. A lot of things are manipulating that. Tons of things. We chose one thing this week, just one, and that is mechanical stimuli. Now, when we talk about mechanical stimuli, we primarily focus on this first study, which again, basically, that as you stretch the stomach, you become full. That's why if you inserted a balloon, you become full. But how do you manipulate that? If you drink water before a meal, like a couple glasses of water before a meal, you might eat like 13% less calories voluntarily in that meal. And again, most people are dehydrated walking into a gym, so I'm assuming you could utilize this. Secondly, we talked about was the shake. Like a shaker bottle, a blender, added more air, you ate like 10, 13% less calories. And then fourth, we talked about calorie-dense foods, that you have a gram counter. So the more low-calorie dense foods you eat, you will stop at a certain threshold. So think about like dried fruit, nuts, and peanut butter. You're going to still not stop eating till you eat the whole jar of peanut butter, which happens. But if you ate low-calorie dense food, you'd stop at that same thing. That's why, like, when I go to a buffet or something, I always start with salad, right? I'm trying to get that mechanical stimuli. And always think preload. When you're trying to cause that stretch, before you hit the very high hedonically active foods, before you do that, you want to overwhelm that system with mechanical stimuli. So start off with a salad, start off with a preload, start off with something that's airy, okay? Another example I'm going to say is like popcorn. Popcorn's full of air. So a 100-calorie bag of popcorn will make you full, right? But of course, you go to the theater, God, I mean, the butter, right? And you know what I mean? Like it's in the smell of it. You think back to when you were a kid. You want to have that theater popcorn. But anyway, obviously the calorie density is much higher than that. You would stop at the same gram threshold though. So guys, that's the end of this whole dissertation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer your questions. It's all about you, not me, you. Go ahead, shoot. Okay. So Eric Olson says, hey doc, do appetite suppressant pills actually exist and do they work? Yeah, they do, but some don't, right? So Eric, what I'm going to do is we're going to cover a lot of that in future issues. So what I'm going to do for you, Eric, is I'm going to give you a pill that's relative to today's topic, which is mechanical stimuli, right? Oh, you said it. Glucomannan. Dude, we're on the same page. Glucomannan is a fiber that actually, it's a soluble fiber, and when it goes in your gut, it expands drastically. And so studies show that people like don't do anything else but take glucomannan. That's glucomannan. If you swallow that, it's from the konjac root. But if you swallow that, basically it will make you very a lot more satiated. You get this mechanical stimuli, et cetera, et cetera. Does it make sense? So anyway, that's the point about that. So glucomannan. We just spelled that up on the board for you. I think basically take anywhere from 2 to 3 grams prior to a meal. I like the pills because like the actual powder is horrible. Like it tastes disgusting, which might stop you from eating as it is. So, Anthony Poon says, "Hey Doc, what are your thoughts on using fat grips in training?" I think for building up your forearms, it's awesome. Yeah, better than that, you know. Would someone just asked about it? I can't read that. What's it say?
Would psyllium be
good
for a protein shake?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I need my glasses. Yeah, would psyllium be good to mix in a protein shake? Yeah, Ellingson, it would be. It's a prebiotic, and it would make you full, which kind of goes into this whole thing. So Natalie Tarana goes, what brand of HMB do you recommend? Just look on the back of the brand and make sure that it has like the MTI trademark on it or MTI patent on it. That's when you know it's real, because a good friend of mine did a study on HMB and got no results, and then they went back and analyzed the pills, and there was no HMB in it. So you want to make sure whatever you get, whatever you prefer, on the back of that pill, you want it to say like MTI. Christopher Williams says, "Hey Doc, love your work." Oh, thanks, buddy. You know, I love you too, man. So, which variables do you control when taking DEXA scans, e.g., time of day, fasting? You know, we're working with Hologic. In fact, Hologic's like the best DEXA out there by far. And I just went to Chicago and I talked to a lot of their people. Some of the things you want to control, I'm assuming you're doing studies or you're studying yourself. You want to come in fasted. You want to make sure you maintain the same position on the DEXA every single time. Don't move around. Jewelry off. You know, that's pretty much the main things that I would say to control. Also muscle damage. If I cause a lot of muscle damage the day before, I'll have edema. I'll still have swelling, and that's going to impact things. Okay. Unsung says, what are your thoughts on keto? I prove it that it increases ketosis in 24 hours. Good question. I mean, your blood ketone levels you're actually in ketosis in like right away. I mean, as far as like measuring blood ketones, I mean, the claims are you can test it yourself. Okay, what questions you guys had?
I have one more here.
Yep. You're welcome, Natalie.
So this person has a very small appetite, and they're trying to put on size, but they can't eat enough.
Great question. Who's it? Okay, whatever.
Evie Garcia.
Evie Garcia. So, man, I wish that like I had a small appetite.
Yeah, I wish
I don't have that problem. Like I'm always like I could eat something right now.
We work with Andrew Bonninger.
Yeah, I mean that's why we have a food science lab. But anyway, good question. What was it? Evie?
Evie Garcia.
Evie, great question. Do the opposite of everything I just said. Basically, like select high-calorie dense foods, like peanut butter, like dried foods, like nuts, like dried fruit. Don't necessarily preload. Don't start your meal with a salad. Maybe finish with the salad. Start with like the higher calorie dense things. Have a lot of variety in your diet. That will activate more of a dopamine pleasure response, which would make eating more pleasurable for you. That's what I would recommend in a nutshell. So everything I just said in this episode, do the opposite. Nathan says, much love, Doc. That's awesome. Much love to you back. What are your thoughts on hypertrophy, my favorite topic, concerning a lot of muscle damage? drop sets versus muscle activation. So basically what your question is, what's more important? I'm going to go ahead and read between the lines. What's more important, muscle damage or muscle activation? And the answer is, here's the thing, guys. Like, it's just like, that's almost like asking me, what's better, carrots or broccoli? You know what I mean? Put them both on your plate. If you're gonna grow, you need to stimulate all the mechanisms of hypertrophy. So you need to focus on, have days where you're doing, like, you're focusing on the mind-muscle connection. And then you have days where you're just going out there and freaking lifting heavy weights, like Paul was doing when he was hitting 405 for 5 reps yesterday.
Shout out.
But basically, yeah, you want days that cause high muscle damage, and you might not focus as much on the muscle, and days where you're focusing on the muscle with intent. Great question. So Natalie says, powerlifters and keto, possible to make consistent strength gains? Yes, we did research. That study should be published soon. It was accepted in Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research. They got the same exact strength gains. How would you go about introducing keto coming off a 30% fat diet? I go straight in. To be honest, I jump in. Like, don't wait. Don't like dip your foot in the pool and just feel like it's kind of chilly. Jump. It's going to be cold at first, but you're gonna, you'll get warm real fast, right? Was that a good analogy?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
And check out the Muscle PhD because we have a bunch of great keto recipes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Muscle PhD, a lot of good recipes. For hypertrophy, compound movement before or after isolation. I love training questions. Absolutely love training questions. In general, you want to do compound before isolation, but in the same token, that's for strength. In the same token, again, you want variety. It's not one versus the other. I would say 80% of the time hit your compound before isolation. 20% of the time go in pre-fatigue. It'll change things. It's going to change how your nervous system recruits muscle fibers. You'll recruit certain populations of motor units you wouldn't otherwise have done. How many more questions?
We got a bunch popping up over there.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you guys let me know when they count. I'll go forever, you know that. But with Project Mass, maybe 3 more?
Yep.
Okay. With Project Mass, God, I love that program. Brutal. With Project Mass, if I take extra rest days per microcycle due to work life, do I still need to take a scheduled active recovery? Peter, great question. Base it on your perceived recovery. If at the end when you're supposed to do the active recovery, if you're like a 9 or a 10, keep going, right? Okay, actually, Ryan just got me a shirt that said, like, if you're going through hell, keep going. Love it, right? But you don't want to do that with perceived recovery. Okay? I love it in life. I love the concept in life, right? But the thing is, you got to think about this for a second. If you go to the end and you're like a 6, you do need to do that active recovery week. Peter Choi said, I just answered your question. But you know what, Peter, I'm glad you have a good work-life balance, because I don't. What do you think about milk and all kind of yogurt? Are they good if you are trying to lose fat? Yes, tons and tons of studies on that. Do not limit. Well, unless you have, you're lactose intolerant or something like that. Lots of studies show milk is important for fat loss. How would a higher mechanical satiety impact your workout? Any difference? Well, Alexander, that's a really good question. If I go and eat like a massive salad, and then I were to go squat with Paul Hauser over here, I'd throw up. So that probably wouldn't be the best effect that I'm looking for. So my point is that, again, you always want to think about timing your meals appropriately. You wouldn't eat a low-calorie dense meal until like a couple hours before your workout, and then have something light prior to the workout. And that's my point. So, last question. Miriam Mitchell. Oh, Miriam Mitchell is a former student of mine. Miriam, it's great to see you. Yeah, man. She's awesome. She actually served military, all this stuff. Freaking amazing. Served our country, everything. Amazing woman. Anyway, Miriam, we have something that's called the Leonardo. And it's like, I would put it above the power plate. This is called the Leonardo. It's above the power plate. I think the concept is great. Basically what ends up happening is, like, you guys ever been to, this will be the last question I answer, but you know what happens basically, like when you do the stretch reflex, like you're in the office and then the physician hits your knee and you go like that. The power play activates, it's kind of like a tonic reflex, and it does activate your muscles, and studies show your performance is better after. So the power play works good. I personally prefer the Leonardo. It's the best like vibration platform. The frequencies are ideal for research and performance.